the Companies Act. We have the arrangement of sections, and we have the sections here. What we will do is just quickly scroll through this section, and then we will start reading after the arrangement of sections. So we have the different sections that we're going to be reading through. These are numbered, and then you have the name of the sections. Okay, so here we are. The Companies Act, 1st of February 2005. Of course, the latest amendment was made in 2014. Section 1, short title. And this part is Part 1, preliminary. This act may be cited as the Companies Act. Section 2, interpretation. Subsection 1. In this act, unless the context otherwise requires, accounts includes a company's group accounts, whether prepared in the form of accounts or not. Company group accounts. Let us see what that is about. Company group accounts. What is that? We want to look at some definitions as we go along. Company group accounts means the consolidated, unaudited balance sheet of PRH. This looks like a specific company. As the account date. As at the account date, accounts date, and the consolidated unaudited profit and loss account. Alright, so that seems to be the profit and loss accounts. Affiliated in relation to two or more companies means that A, one of them is the subsidiary of the other. Let's look at that subsidiary company. Okay, here it comes up. Subsidiary company. What that is. A subsidiary company is a company that is controlled and at least majority owned by another company. The company that controls the subsidiary is called a parent company, or sometimes a holding company. A subsidiary can be structured as one of several different types of corporate entity and is registered with the state where it resides as a subsidiary of the company that it controls. Let's just read this section here, this part. A subsidiary company is a company that is completely or partially owned by another company, which may be a parent company that also has business operations, or a holding company whose sole purpose is to own its subsidiaries. Okay, so the holding company is one that is formed just for owning other companies. But if you form a company that owns another company and it also conducts its own business, it's called a parent company. the holding or parent company must own more than 50% of the subsidiary company. If it owns 100%, the subsidiary company is called a wholly owned subsidiary. Okay. Alright, so affiliated company. Two companies are affiliated if one is a subsidiary of the other. If each of them is a subsidiary of the same company, C, that's A, B, C, if each of them is controlled directly or indirectly by the same person, or D, if each of them, by virtue of paragraph A, B, or C, has a relationship with the same company at the same time. Okay. Agent does not include a person's counsel acting as such. So it does not include a lawyer. So your agent, your lawyer is not one of your agents. Annual return means the return required to be made in the case of a company having a share capital under section 122, and in the case of a company not having a share capital under section 123. So from my reading, the share capital, from my understanding, is the money that the company gets by inviting other persons to invest in it. But the company not having a share capital is a non-profit organization. Could be a trade association, a church, a charity, and so on. Right? Now, at this point, let me say I'm inviting persons who are professional accountants or attorneys at law dealing with company laws to make any input in terms of clarification, correction, additional information, and so on as we go along. Appointed day means the first day of February 2005. Right? Articles means the articles of incorporation of a company as originally framed or as altered by special resolution. Right, articles of incorporation. Let us look at that. We take a minute to look at that. Okay, articles of incorporation. What are those? Okay, Investopedia. Let's look at what Investopedia says about it. Articles of incorporation are a set of formal documents filed with a government body to legally document the creation of a corporation. Articles of incorporation generally contain pertinent information such as the firm's name, the street address, the agent for service of process, and the amount and type of stock to be issued. Articles of incorporation are also referred to as corporate charter, articles of association, or certificate of incorporation. Okay, so those are articles of incorporation. All right. And the resolution, special resolution. Yes, that's a decision. Be it resolved that at this meeting we want to change the name of the company. We have special resolution. All right. Associate in relation to any person means. All right. So your associate mean a company or a body, corporate, of which that person beneficially owns or controls Directly or indirectly, shares or debentures convertible into shares that carry more than 20% of the voting rights. Alright, let's pause for a minute. Shares. Let's look for company shares. What are these company shares? Definition of shares. Shares are units of equity ownership in a company. For other companies, shares exist as a financial asset, providing for an equal distribution of any residual profits, if any, are declared in the form of dividends. Alright? Shareholders of a stock that pays no dividends do not participate in a distribution of the profit. Right, so we see equity, dividends, and there was debentures. Debentures of companies. We just want to get these definitions out of the way so we understand what we're reading. A dividend is the distribution of some of the company's earnings to a class of its shareholders as determined by the company's board of directors. Common dividends or dividend-paying companies are typically eligible as long as they own the stock before the ex-dividend date. Okay, so it sounds as if a company makes a profit, it can give part of the profit to its shareholders. That, or what it pays out, is a dividend. Equity typically referred to as shareholders' equity or owners' equity for privately held companies. Represents the amount of money that would be returned to a company's shareholders if all of its assets were liquidated and all of the company's debt was paid off in the case of liquidation. In the case of acquisition, it is the value of a company's sales minus any liabilities owned by the company not transferable with the sale. Okay, so if you have shares in a company, or if you have an arrangement where the company is closed, liquidated, they sell off all the assets of the company, and you are entitled to part of that money, then you have equity in the company. Or if someone buys the company, then part of the money that they offer is yours, then you have equity. And let's look at this debentures business. What debentures are? A debenture is a type of bond or other debt instrument that is unsecured by collateral. Since debentures have no collateral backing, they must rely on the creditworthiness and reputation of the issuer for support. Both corporations and governments frequently issue debentures to raise capital or funds. Okay, so it sounds like if the government or a company says, if you lend us $100,000, after 5 years we will give you $130,000, then that is a debenture. What they will pay out is the debenture. So the debenture is a type of debt instrument that is not backed by any collateral, usually has a term greater than 10 years. It's backed by the creditworthiness and the reputation of the issuer. Alright, debentures. So we continue. So the your associate in relation to any person is a company or a body corporate of which a person beneficially owns or controls, directly or indirectly, shares or debentures convertible into shares that carry more than 20% of the voting rights under all circumstances, or carry 20% of the voting rights by reason of the occurrence of an event that is continuing, or they carry more than 20% of the voting rights by reason of a currently exercisable option or right to purchase those shares or those convertible debentures. Right? An associate is be a partner of that person acting on behalf of the partnership of which they are partners, or associate is a trustee, a trust or estate in which a person has a substantial beneficial interest or in respect of which he serves as a trustee or in a similar capacity. Also, the associate can be a spouse of that person, can be a child, stepchild, or adopted child of that person, or can be an immediate relative of that person or his spouse. Right, a trustee. Let's see what's going on here in terms of that word, trustee. Who is a trustee? Trustee definition, Investopedia. A trustee is a person or a firm that holds and administers property or assets for the benefit of a third party. A trustee may be appointed for a wide variety of purposes, such as in the case of bankruptcy, for a charity, for a trust fund, or for certain types of retirement plans or pensions. Okay. Trustees are trusted to make decisions in the beneficiary's best interest and often have a fiduciary responsibility, meaning they act in the best interest of the trust beneficiaries or manage their assets. Okay, so you might appoint somebody to sell or manage your assets. Could be bankruptcy, to sell the bank, to sell what you have and give you part of that money, or to pay those who you owe money. That's a trustee. All right, that sounds like it. So here now, book and paper, and book or paper includes accounts, deeds, writings, and documents. Company means a company formed and registered under this act, or it could be an existing company. All right, company that has already existed. The court used in relation to a company means the Supreme Court. Debenture includes debenture stock, bonds, and any other securities of a company, whether constituting a charge on the assets of the company or not. Director includes any person occupying the position of director by whatever name called. Document includes, in addition to a document in writing, A, any map, plan, graph or drawing, B, any photograph, C, any disc, tape, soundtrack or other device in which sounds or other data are embodied so as to be capable, with or without the aid of some other equipment, of being reproduced therefrom. Existing company means a company formed and registered before the first day of 2005. So, existing company formed and registered before the first day of February 2005, under the law in force before that date. So remember, this act was incorporated in 2005. So an existing company is one that was formed before that date. File account has the meaning assigned to that expression by subsection 4 of section 25. Financial year means in relation to any body corporate, the period in respect of which any profit and loss account of that body corporate laid before it in general meeting is made up, whether that period is a year or not. Government trustee has the meaning assigned to it under section 231. Issued generally means in relation to a prospectus issued to persons who are not existing members or debenture holders of the company. Alright, prospectus, Prospectus. What is a prospectus? Let's see. Oh, I'm looking at Merriam-Webster. I want to look at in the meaning presented by Investopedia. A prospectus is a formal document that is required by and filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission, that's overseas, that provides details about an investment offering to the public. A prospectus is filed for offering of stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. The prospectus can help investors make more informed investment decisions because it contains a host of relevant information about the investment or security. Okay, so that applies to public companies. They want members of the public to invest. They put the document together, inviting them to invest and telling them why they can trust that company to invest in. Alright. So issued generally mean in relation to a prospectus issued to persons who are not existing members or debenture holders of the company. Immediate relative as respects any person means his spouse or his children, including stepchildren, and their spouses, his parents, his brother or sister. Right. Officer in relation to a body corporate includes a director, manager, or secretary. Prescribed means as respects the provisions of this act relating to procedure, winding up, and the costs and fees in connection therewith. Prescribed by rules of court, and as respects the other provisions of this act prescribed by the minister. Prospectus means any prospectus, notice, circular, advertisement, or other invitation offering to the public for subscription or purchase any shares or debentures of a company. We will break at this point and continue in another video.